again because it just got a whole lot harder. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Business Caselette, where we take a look at little bits of business to try and leave our sessions a little bit more understanding about the business that surrounds us. Today we're taking a look at Cheetos mac and cheese as an example of a brand extension and are going to unpack the business choices behind why they literally can't keep them on the shelves. To understand what's going on and whether this is a good idea, we're going to first define a brand extension, and then we'll investigate the 5 W's and somehow end up at supply and demand. You with me? Okay, let's dive in. By the way, does anyone remember Burger King's mac and Cheetos? If you've tried them or this mac, leave a comment below about what you thought. And please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really encourages the YouTube algorithm to spread our content as far as we can reach. Okay, first up, let's define brand extension. Investopedia defines brand extension as follows. A brand extension is when a company uses one of its established brand names on a new product or a new product category. It's sometimes known as brand stretching. The strategy behind a brand extension is to use the company's already established brand equity to help it launch its newest product. As you can see, this is exactly what Cheetos is doing here, stretching the Cheetos name to a new product category, from the chips and beyonds category to instant meals or instant mac and cheese. Now that we understand brand extension, let's take a look at the 5 W's. First up, we've got the who. You would imagine this one to be quite obvious. Cheetos, of course. But we could answer this question in a few ways. Some of you might not know that Cheetos is actually a product created by Frito-Lay, which is actually owned by PepsiCo. Now, if that's not shocking enough, it might also be fun to know that other chips that you might imagine are direct Cheetos competitors like Doritos, Fritos, or Tostitos are also owned by PepsiCo. Although, now that we say them all in a line that way, it's not too surprising. This is an example of brand architecture. PepsiCo is a house of brands that owns Cheetos, but it functions entirely separately than the rest of PepsiCo brands. It has an entirely individual personality and pursuits. This is the same structure that we see with Zara and Inditex. In case you missed that video, I'll leave a link above. Now, PepsiCo also owns the Quaker brands, which is best known for their Quaker oatmeal. And Cheetos and Quaker actually teamed up to produce this mac and cheese together. Confusing, right? So just to recap, the who can be Cheetos, owned by Frito-Lay and PepsiCo, Cheetos and Quaker, both owned by PepsiCo, or simply just PepsiCo brands. Okay, next we've got the what. The low-hanging fruit would be to answer the classic brand extension. Likewise, we could get a little more specific on the product itself and say the what is actually the 3 flavors: bold and cheesy, flamin' hot, and cheesy jalapeno. Okay, on to the where. This mac has been launched exclusively in Walmart stores across America, each box retailing for 96 cents. If you don't live near a Walmart, however, don't worry. You can pop on over to Amazon or eBay and order a single box for a mere 500% markup or just over $5 per individual package. Wow, that's some serious coin for some mac and cheese with some chip flavoring. I mean, couldn't you make a pretty gourmet mac and cheese for that price and even toss in some flamin' hot Cheetos you got from a snack pack? Next up, we've got the when. Here you could answer quite a few things as well. You could answer August 2020 and you'd be right. You could also say a more general coronavirus or quarantine, which might be a little bit more relevant to the why that we're about to get into. Now, when considering the why, you've got to think of it as twofold. Number 1 is always going to be the why for the brand. And number 2 is, of course, why for the customer. Why for the brand gets us talking about supply and demand. First, Cheetos could look at qualitative results. There have been countless reports of consumers stating increased purchasing trends towards comfort and junk food over the course of the pandemic. Second, they undoubtedly took a look at the data, and it's everywhere. For example, Frito-Lay's sales were up 6.5% in Q2. And Conagra, which sells Chef Boyardee pastas, reported a 50% leap in demand. And while the retrospective data can't tell us why Cheetos took the leap of faith in the first place, it can indeed provide insights into the venture's performance. In PepsiCo's Q3 results, they reported Quaker, who remember is producing the Cheetos mac and cheese, saw strong double-digit revenue growth in the light snacks and side dishes such as pastas, macaroni, and cheese. And Frito-Lay North America and International saw organic growth at 6% and 5% respectively. Switching over to the why for the customer, it's a little more complicated. As referenced, consumers, you and me, are spending a little bit more on comfort food and junk food over the crazy pandemic time. And while this offering was definitely an exciting new launch, meeting our demand needs, we do need to address sustainability. This sustainability comes in the form of our waistbands. Countless negative reports have been launched about the harmful impact these changing diets are having on our country's overall health, and whether manufacturers capitalizing on these unhealthy trends is ethical. Don't get me wrong, it's lovely and necessary to treat ourselves to a cheat day every now and again, but we all know that instant mac and cheese and processed foods are not easily sustained by our bodies and can lead to mental health challenges. Take this bold and cheesy mac, for example. In one 5.9-ounce box, there are 850 calories, 96% of your daily sodium, and 51% of your daily carbs and fat. Now, those numbers are essentially the same with the gold standard's Kraft mac and cheese. However, the Kraft box is almost 25% larger. Now, perhaps you get what you sign up for, and junk food isn't supposed to be healthy apply here, but also perhaps Cheetos could have seized the opportunity to not only make a few bucks, but to do better by their consumers too. And at the very least, maybe not make the overall nutrition of the product category worse. Nonetheless, whether for a once-in-a-while treat, the satisfaction to a craving, or just a smile on your face during a pandemic, thanks Cheetos for making this really cool brand extension. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you on Cheetos mac and cheese. I hope you understand a little bit more about brand extensions, supply and demand, and maybe even some nutrition. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.